you doing? Welcome to live stream number 178. It is Tuesday. It is June 26th. Today's topic is sheet metal form tools. I am excited about this one. I can see here that I am live on the YouTube. I'm trying what I did try to do yesterday. Well, was also be live on Facebook at the same time. Now, there might be a little bit of an issue with the Facebook thing. I think what happened yesterday was actually that I had set it to the wrong account. But that is all the blame on me here. I can see we already got some people in here, at least on the YouTube. Let's see here. But there might be something, I'm not sure with Facebook. First of all, I think that there's quite a bit of delay on Facebook. Oh, looks like I am alive here now. I see myself. If I go to my site, I think I maybe have figured it all out. Man. Yep. Though that it has the wrong description for this video in it. Welcome Facebook. Welcome YouTube. Clock is counting down. We're gonna be started in about a half an hour. The problem is all this technology, and I'm not know what I'm doing with these live streams. So we're not gonna talk about locating things inside of let's see if I can change at least the last live number. We're not going to talk about how to locate files. We did that yesterday. Go to YouTube, watch that one. What we're going to talk about today is sheet metal form tools. I'm sorry if you're jumping in and you see the header of my Facebook live stream right now, then that is wrong. Yesterday I posted to the Autodesk HSM channel instead of my own channel. So that's why there's a lot of confusion here on my side. That's why we have a counter. Today we're going to talk about SolidWorks sheet metal form tools. I said SolidWorks, but it's of course Fusion 360. Couple of things I just want to talk about now. I have you guys on here, and if you are watching in the live stream on Facebook, hello everybody. Sorry about the header is wrong. We're talking about the sheet metal form tools today. YouTube, good to see you as always. Really appreciate you taking the time. I introduced yesterday that I'm doing a Toronto event, July 19th. You will find the link to that in the description area. If you're not in Toronto, I will probably try to film part of this event that I'm doing, but you don't have to pay. It costs $5 to sign up, and that's only just to make sure that people are not like, oh yeah, I'll go, and then they don't go. Want to make sure that because we only have a limited space. So if you're not able to get to Toronto, I will not be live streaming the event. I will probably try to film it and try to share some of the bits and pieces on the YouTube channel. So I just want to say that for you guys. I will figure out about the Facebook live stream. I'll figure out to get the right title. Hopefully we'll do it tomorrow. But we got YouTube guys. That looks right. I hope you get the right description in their sheet metal form tools. All right. So the Toronto event. The idea with the Toronto event is going to show three things. It starts at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Runs till 7 p.m. There's going to be some food, some pizza, something. I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks about better workflows inside of Fusion 360. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about the generative design, and then I'll give an intro into CAM. So if machining is brand new to you, you will get that too at that event. If it is a success, if it's something that enough people find interesting, so to all you guys who have friends in Toronto, let them know, and definitely be more than happy to try to take that on the road. That's the Toronto event. Looks like I got Facebook on today, what is good, with the wrong description. Sorry about that, Facebook. And YouTube, we got a handful of people in here. So let's get started here. The clock have ticked down. Let me just get rid of that, and then let's get into today's topic. There we go. Wrong button. Oh, man. Haha. Technical issues. This is the fun thing about doing all this yourself, is sometimes you hit the wrong button. There we go. Hi everybody, my name is Lars Christensen, and thank you for being patient with me and all this technology. Today is live stream number 178, and we are going to talk about sheet metal form tools today. This is a topic that I'm going to bring a little bit of caution up front, to be honest with you guys, because there's probably different ways to do this, and different people have asked me for a while to talk about how you do rips and kind of form tools into sheet metal part inside of Fusion 360, and I've kind of been a little I don't always know if there is not a better way. So there might be a better way to this, and this might also get, for some people, a little bit advanced or new. So if you start feeling it's a little over your head, bear with me. But what we're going to talk about is we have a sheet metal part here on the screen, just bent up, and if I flatten it here, you can see we get the flat pattern. And what we're going to do is we are going to do something like these forms in here. And again, I'm not a sheet metal expert, so some of you guys already right now are kind of like thinking that, well, there should be some radiuses, different places, and I might be missing that. But what we're going to talk about is two different features where we kind of like are forming material in here to make this corner stronger. See that there? And also how to insert kind of like these forms into, you can see how it's kind of like bulked up here. The thing is that Fusion 360 do not have a specific tool for this. I know that like Inventor does, and I know I used to work a lot with SolidWorks does. But what I'm going to show you, and I have a feeling that it's on the roadmap. I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure that what I'm going to show you today is really what those tools does anyway in the background. So we can still flatten this, but we can't flatten it with those two features added. And I believe that Inventor can't do that either. Like when you flatten in Inventor without being 100% sure, and in SolidWorks, it just turns them off anyway. Here you have to do the manual part of kind of like dragging it down and then flatten it. So again, today's live stream, I'm gonna go out a little bit on a limb here, so don't sue me. But I thought enough people have asked for this that at least I wanted to give somebody an alternative to create it. And anything you have to share, any like better ways or something, put it down in the comment area, please. Because let's share the knowledge. That's all what this is. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. But also, if you have anything to add, love to have that down in the comments area. So let's jump in here and talk a little sheet metal. So what I'm going to do here is, for right now, I am going to, I can close this file down. Let's just get rid of that. And I'm going to be using some sheet metal tools. I call this sheet metal library. These two files, they're called Lars center corner rib and a long rib. These two files, you will find a link in the description area of this video, and out on Facebook, I'll make sure you get it. You get it later on, because I messed up the description area on Facebook. But those two files, if you bring them locally, you can then upload them, okay? And the reason I did this is because I know that I wanted to show a couple of different things today. And again, I know this is not my perfect live stream, but hopefully this is useful. I don't know. If not, then just shoot it down in the comments area. I'm gonna do this first. I'm gonna create a sheet metal part just to show one of them first off here, and then we'll make one. So I'm gonna go in here and say, all right, I'm gonna create a sheet metal part. I'm gonna draw on this face here. I'm gonna click the line tool, hover over the center just so I catch that line horizontally. Click and then double click to end. D for dimension. And I'm gonna make this 50. And then I'm gonna click the equal sign from here to here. Okay? So now we have kind of like two sketches. I'm gonna go and hit the flange tool. And I'm gonna make this flange 50. And again, I have done other live streams on all these things. So if you need, search the live stream playlist and you will find sheet metal. Now this is a standard sheet metal part. I can now go in here and we can create a flat pattern from it. Select the stationary face, and that will now be flattened out with whatever the rule set is in here. Now here comes working with applying what I call the center corner rib, but probably has, if you're a sheet metal person, it might have a better word. But this is, what this is kind of a tool. Let me actually just open that up by itself. So I'm just gonna open this one up. I call this this is a tool, and hopefully this will give you an idea for other things inside of Fusion. Again, these two files, you can completely download those if you're on the YouTube. In the Facebook, you gotta wait till we're done with live stream. One of the things, the reason I wanted to do this is because I've actually, the history line is down here, so you can actually see how I modeled it up. And we're gonna get into surfacing today, what is kind of, I think is kind of fun. So let's, again, if this is too advanced, just be patient, sit back, check it out, and then maybe at least you know that you can do these kind of things. This is containing of two bodies. There is a core, and this is the form tool that's going to push into the bottom of this here. And then there is a cavity, what is kind of the opposite, that kind of like have the other side. So this side, and you will see just in a second. If I turn those two back on, you'll see there's three bodies. There's a test body, talk about that in a second, core and cavity. So if I go in and I do a section analysis, you maybe can see here as I'm going through how we have a little bit of space, and then they're kind of, see how there's a little bit of space in there? They're gonna overlap. Hope that is visual. And again, there might be better ways to do this. This is my attempt to do this, but I'm pretty sure this is how Form Tools actually works in the background of Inventor and, for example, SolidWorks. I'm going to exit out of this one again, just for the heck of it. I just wanted to show you kind of like what it was, and you can play through. If you go down, if you open up that file, you can download the description area. You can actually play through down here, and you can actually see how I modeled it. And what I actually did also, I just wanted to show you this too. In this file here, let it finish up here. In this, in the one file, the center, this one here, I actually also introduced parameters. So if I turn off the core, and again, this was just to give you an idea about what you could do with these. If I go in to change parameters for this one, I added 2 parameters. So if you change the rib thickness, change this to 5, hit enter, you will see that the rib changes in here. Change it back to 2.5, hit enter. See how, so this is controlled by parameter, and actually you will see that this parameter controls both the thickness and the top radius. I also applied one in here at 30 degrees. So you can see how we can change this in here. So this could be a way you could modify these form tools, create different versions added and stuff like that. I hope somebody's like, okay, I could use this for something, maybe other than just this here. All right, now I'm gonna close this one down. I'm not gonna save it. So in here, in our sheet metal part we just created, I'm gonna insert this one. I'm gonna right click. I'm going to insert into current design. Oh, I got to save this one first. So I'm going to save this one. We're going to call this one live stream now. So we're on now. Save. Oh, and I should have saved it in the library. I should have saved that out to the live stream directory. That doesn't matter. Let's insert this one here. So it's current assign. It's going to be brought in here. Now, it gets brought in as a linked file. And you might see, depending on how you model this up, that you maybe have to place this the right way. And in this case here, it's very important that this form tool has the right thickness compared to what your sheet metal does. So this case here, I'm using, I think this is 2.5 millimeter thick gauge steel. So I would have to create variations of these tools or the parameters depending on where I'm going to use them. That's maybe a more advanced. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the move command here to move this component right here. Select this component right here. And I'm going to use the point to point to place this one from here to here. Okay. I'm going to right click and use the move tool again. Select that same component. I'm going to use that same move tool. I'm going to just place it down from here to here. The only reason I got to move this with the move tool is because when I originally created this one, I didn't lay it out right. But I'm using the move tool to place the tool here in red and green so it sandwiches right on our sheet metal part right here. And I'm actually going to click up here to capture these moves with the move tool. So we brought the center rib in. Some people have asked for more advanced topics. This is getting a little advanced, I think. And I have it here as a linked, and it has sandwiched our original sheet metal part. So turn that back on there. Okay? That's where it's placed. Now, I'm not sure this is totally necessary, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to break the link to this body. I'm going to break the link. And then I'm actually going to take, I don't know if you knew you can do this, these two cavity and core that right now live within the center of our, kind of like this part here. I'm going to highlight them and do a Control C for copy. And then I'm going to paste them into our original, where our sheet metal body is. So there's a copy of them. Hit OK to that move. Okay. And that actually means that I don't really need this center rib anymore. Now, I would maybe just leave it. You could hide it. You could also right click on it. You could remove it. That would be a timeline thing here. That's kind of up to you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I'm still kind of like, I have the sheet metal part. I have the core and the cavity. But you will see here if I only have the core on, that it's kind of like just slamming into the part. And the cavity here is just kind of like sitting in Gold's chair. Now I can go in and I can use, to go to the model environment, I'm going to use the combine tool, and I'm actually going to cut this core and cavity away from our sheet metal part. So target body is our sheet metal body. And then I'm going to change this to cut. And then I'm going to select our two core and cavity as the cutting tool. But I'm going to keep them. I want to make sure this is checked, so I'm keeping them so they don't get eliminated away. I'm going to hit OK to that. Now, it doesn't look like anything happened on the screen, but if I turn off the core and the cavity, you will see that we actually did cut into our sheet metal part with kind of the core. If I turn the core back on, now we have kind of cut into that. Now we need to fill this up with the cavity space. So this is why I kept them before. I'm going to turn them back on. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to use this boundary fill tool. So I'm going to select boundary fill. And now I'm going to select all three tools. So the core, the cavity, and the sheet metal part. And then I can select the cells in here. I'm just going to move down here. I'm going to select what I believe is the bottom right down there. And I'm choosing to leave this as a new body, what means I'll get another body over here. I'm going to hit OK to that. Now, nothing really happened on the screen, although we got a new body. But if I hide the core and the cavity, you will now see that we did get kind of that indent in there. Now, there are two different bodies right now. So what I'm going to do, the last step, I'm going to go in and say modify. I'm going to go back to the combine tool. We just used that for a cut. This time I'm going to turn it into a join. And I'm going to say I don't want to keep any tools. The target body is going to be first our sheet metal body. And then the tool body is going to be that second body right there. Hit OK. And that body goes away. And now this body here is now become the sheet metal part. Now, if you're fairly new to this, I'm sorry if this is way crazy. I'm gonna kind of do it one more time here, and we're actually gonna create the long rip that you have access to. Again, if you just came in late, if you're on the Facebook, thank you so much. The description is wrong. I'm sorry. If you're in the YouTube, you can see that we're talking about sheet metal form tools. There might be a better way to do this inside of Fusion. But this is my attempt to add a little bit of value to you and show you how we can actually create this. Now, we cannot flatten this right now because that would kind of blow everything up because we added this feature. But all we have to do is roll back to before that happened, and then we can flatten it. I'm pretty sure, without knowing 100%, but if my memory is correct, both in Inventor and SolidWorks, it does kind of like the same thing, except it hides it automatically. Okay? So that is that there. Now, the long rib, we're going to create that one now. So I'm going to show you how I got to be able to do this. And hopefully this is, you can use it maybe for something else. So the way I did this was I kind of creating these two in red and green as separate part files that I'm then going to use on the sheet metal. So let me open up a new file, brand new file here. And I could probably use the sheet metal, but I didn't do that. I just modeled up the same thing as the sheet metal. So I'm going to open a new sketch on the face here. And I'm going to just go ahead here. And I could actually start right from the center, draw over here. Just get something somewhat close. Like that, okay? D for dimension. And if we gotta do it anything close to what I did before, make this 50. And I use the equal to make these two the same length. D for dimension. This one's gonna be 2.5. And then I'm gonna use equal to make these two equal. Like that there, that makes that fully defined. Q for press pull. And I made this 50 millimeters long. This body here, I like to rename the bodies. I'm going to call this test body. And this body doesn't really mean anything other than I'm using it as a reference to draw up. And maybe now, again, these two, the links are in the description area of this video. You can download these two in red and green. So this is what we're going to end up with here, where this is kind of like the core and this is the cavity. So the first step I did was I create what I want to become kind of like the dent upwards, so the solid, the male piece, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new sketch. Follow me along here. If it goes too fast, you can always rewind later on the recording. Open a sketch here, and I'm going to use the slot tool. And I'm just going to draw a slot here. And let's make that 8 millimeters. That's fine. Like that. We got to fully define it. So D for dimension. Ooh, did you know this one? If you are in dimension, you can right click and say tangent for dimension. Did you know that? That's a way to select the tangency dimension here. Let's make that 30. This is just me coming up with numbers. So if you're right now thinking why 30, this is just me. I'm going to place this one too. This is not critical to do this, but I just prefer to kind of like get it fully defined. Maybe make this 15 so it's somewhat centered. Again, this is our forming tool. So here's this fully defined this sketch. I'm going to stop the sketch on that. And then I'm going to draw, I'm going to use the sweep command for this. So I'm going to create an arc here. Now, inside of Fusion, if you use the offset plane, you select a face, you can make it snap to endpoints of geometry, like this. But you can't get it to snap to sketch point. Did you know that if you go to the construction drop-down, select a long path, and I select this instead, that will actually snap into place. So I can snap right there, hit OK, and that sketch point is now, that sketch, that's plane, this plane is now on the intersection of there. That was a little advanced tip for you. I'm going to go in and start a new sketch on that plane, right there. And let's go in and create an arc. I'm going to do a 3-point arc, and it's going to be from there to there. Click here. Give that some kind of dimension. Let's make it 5. And then alpha line. I'm just going to close this off. See how I kind of get shaded in there. So now we have 2 sketches. We have this sketch, and we have this sketch here. I'm now going to go in and use the sweep command. We've done live streams on this. The profile is in there. The path is this one. And I'm not going to join this. I'm actually going to make this a new body. Hit OK. So now this is what I kind of want to end up with in my sheet metal part. In this part over here. But I don't have the I also got to create the indent. So I'm going to hide my test body. So now you can see this here. And the way I worked from this point was I actually used the patched workspace. And I used the patched workspace, a surface workspace, just because it has some pretty neat tools. Let's create maybe what is the easiest to create first? Maybe let's create the cavity first. So in the surface workspace, I have that second body. I'm not going to name that yet because I'm going to delete it in a second. I don't need it. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go in and I'm going to create an offset surface and select this thing. But I'm not going to apply any distance. I'm going to leave that at 0. What that means when I hit OK is that I just get a copy of this body. So now I have a surface tool path that is just a shell, non-thick shell of the outside of that little bump we just created. Okay, so I said we're going to create the cavity. Now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and turn the test body back on so I can start a sketch on this face here. And I'm going to create kind of like the shape around the cavity. So I'm going to hit P for project, and I could just select all these lines around here like that. Hit OK. O for offset. Again, I'm being a little advanced, and just create a sketch maybe 2.5 like that. Now if I turn my test body off again, what we got is we kind of got this here. Now being in the surface area, if I hit the patch up here and select that inside, hit OK. Now I got 2 surfaces, and that is kind of stitched into that. And this is actually many times what happens. What I'm doing right now is many times what happens when you're actually using the standard modeling extruding commands in the background. Now I'm going to go in and do a surface extrude and select this edge here and just drag that up there. Let's go 10. So again, I get a non-thick shell, and then I'm going to patch that. Okay. And now you will see that we kind of have the form cavity, but it's all shells. It's not a solid yet. To make it a solid, we're going to use the stitch command. Click on that, highlight everything, and if it all is good surfaces, there's no gaps, this is going to be one body. Click OK, and you'll see that became body number 7. Now I am going to rename this one cavity. So that was 1. Now we got to create the core. So I'm going to turn that body number 2 that I'm going to delete in a second. Hide the cavity. So now I'm kind of back to that again. And then I'm going to go in and do another offset. So like this, but this time I am going to put a value in here. I'm going to put -1 millimeter. And that's just because that's the gap that I decide that I'm going to create between the two. I'm going to hit OK to that. That gives me a new surface. Now if I actually don't need that body number 2 anymore, I can right click and remove that. I don't need that. But if I turn the cavity back on, you can now somewhat hopefully see there's our cavity. There's this surface. Hide the cavity again so we can kind of work with this surface. I am going to use the extend tool on this. So that's on the modify. I'm going to pull this out and kind of extend it down a little bit. Like this here. I don't know how far down. You can go pretty far, but you can see it's kind of like going to start collapsing in on itself. Maybe down to about 2. Hit OK. Now, one thing that is important to know, especially with surfaces, is that anytime you're working with surfaces, they have to be precise. And because this surface now has both been offset by 1 millimeter and it has been extended, I don't trust that these edges are actually 100% anymore. Actually, if we zoom in, you might be able to see that they're kind of like starting to break down. That's not even the center. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my cavity back on. I'm going to create an offset plane. And I'm going to drag this plane down to about here. So it's not past the edge. This is fine. And then I'm actually going to use that to trim our part. And what that's going to do is going to make sure I get a straight edge here. So I'm going to select this as my trim tool. And then that plane is a trim tool. I'm going to select that little edge down there. Delete that. That means that I now know that I have a good sharp edge around the bottom of that tool. Again, there might be different ways to do this, but this is kind of like my take on this. From that point, I'm going to repeat what I did with the cavity. I'm going to hit extrude. Now I can select this edge here. Let's go down 10 millimeters like that. So that's kind of like a shell there. We're going to close it in here. Okay. Now again, that is all surfaces. Here. So now I'm going to select the stitch. Hit OK. So now that is my core. Okay. I know this is a lot of work, and if you're fairly new, this might be like, whoa, this is crazy. But this is actually kind of how you gotta somewhat create these form tools to start with. Somebody might come up with a cool app. Anybody out there definitely, if I had a week to work on this, I would probably I would definitely add more parameters and all that stuff. Now, one thing I like to do here, as shown me before, is I'm going to right click and add appearances just for my own sanity. And I like to make the core green and the cavity red, just so I can kind of see it here. Close that. Now let's save this one. Hit save. And let's call this one live stream. I think I called it a long rip before. So now that's going to be saved over here. Save. So now that this one here, everything is live. Now, I hope this makes sense. Now if you click on our first original, the first one where I showed all this, now I'm going to repeat what I did before. I'm going to right click here to insert this is our new one we just created, into this design. Now you'll see that this one actually comes in placed right, except I got to move it a little bit. Just going to drag this over here. Hit OK. So this here, I didn't have to move it up and down because I placed the thickness right. I like to break this, break link for this rib. And I will go into the body folder. I will take the core and the cavity, Control C, and throw them into my body for the sheet metal part. Right click and paste it. Hit OK to that. Now I actually don't need this. If you don't want to, you could hide it. But you could also, if you want to clean it up. Depends on, if I gotta work on this later, I would definitely not remove them. I always like to leave stuff in here. But if you had to send it to a customer or something, maybe you do something different. Now with this one in here, again, if I just hide that core and cavity, this is the sheet metal part. Turn the core and the cavity on. They're kind of sitting here. And I'm gonna follow the same recipe as I did in here. I like to first go in and do a combine function in the model workspace. We're going to use a cut, and the target body is our sheet metal body, and the tool bodies are these two we just brought in. Keep them, hit the cuts. If I just hide them, you will see that it made a cut through here. Okay, turn them back on, and then go into the create drop down, select boundary fill, select all three, select cells, and if we then select in here, select this one and check that one in there, hit OK, we get an extra body. Now if we turn the core and the cavity off, you will see that extra body is sitting in there. So now we kind of have what we want, but we just gotta combine it to a sheet metal part, hit modify, combine, and this time we're gonna go back to join them together. First select the sheet metal body, then select that body number 7. We don't have to keep the tool now. Hit OK. And that now becomes into to the sheet metal body as a form tool. And now we actually don't need these anymore either. So you could absolutely select them all, and we should be able to go in here and hit remove. And we have kind of cleaned that up over here in the tree. Now, like I said in the beginning, we can't just flatten it with all these on, but if we grab and move this back to where that happened, then we absolutely can. We can get our flat pattern, so we can fold this, and then we can go ahead and do it. And if you came a little bit late, I'm pretty sure that in Inventor and in SolidWorks, that's actually what happens in the background. If you hit flatten right now in one of those programs, it will just first go ahead and just hide them all, and then it will do the flat pattern action in here. That was what I was planning on showing today. I hope this inspired you at least to try something. Again, these two files here, you can find those in the link description of this video. So you can download these, you can use the upload, and then you can bring them into your tool and you can play around with them. Again, such things as thickness and radius is important for these tools. So, rewatch this video and see what these settings I used, what is straight out of the book. Don't forget, if you came in late in this one here, in the Lars center rib, I added a couple of parameters just to just show you that, you can absolutely change things in here with parameters. So you have those options. Also, as we're wrapping this up, don't forget Toronto, July 19th. If you are in the Toronto area, click down in the invite down in the description area for come out and hang out with me for 3 hours. I'll serve you pizza, man. I might even buy you a drink afterwards. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. I hope that this was useful. I know a little bit advanced maybe, but like I said, a few people had asked how to do this, and I definitely wanted to provide some kind of a solution. There is my better ways to do this. I would love to hear if you have those. down in the comment area. If you don't comment, I'm just assuming that was the best way. No, I'm just kidding. Facebook, tomorrow I promise that I will have figured out how to get the right title in there. We're not talking about locating and recover files. That was yesterday. YouTube, really appreciate you guys taking the time. Just trying to add a little bit more value to your day. Thumbs up if you like this. Really mean the world to me. Thumbs down if you don't. I want you to be honest. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it means the world to me too if you would do that. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have an awesome day. And until tomorrow. Tomorrow is live stream number 179. We're getting there. Thank you so much, folks. Have an awesome, awesome day. Take care.